Hello, everybody. Kathy Caprino here, and welcome to another episode of Finding Brave. Today is actually Monday, a day I don't typically record, but I wanted to make sure to create a really juicy episode for you for the 4th of July weekend, which I hope you're going to be having a blast. On a boat, on a beach with your friends, hot dogs and hamburgers, the whole works, whatever you do to celebrate the 4th of July here in the U.S. But if you do have a little time, maybe sitting on that float in the pool or driving, I hope you'll listen to this. And I'll tell you why I really hope you will take some time to listen to this. And I'll try to keep it to 30 minutes. I know I love to ramble on and on in my solo episodes. So if you've listened to this podcast at all, you know that I'm writing my second book, and this one is tentatively titled Close Your Power Gaps, about what I have seen over the past 13 years of doing this work and drawing on from me being a high-level corporate career and chucking that career because it was toxic for me in a lot of ways, to becoming a marriage and family therapist, which totally changed my life. It changed every conversation I have. It changed every way I relate to the world, to myself, to my family, to my friends. It was powerful. And then becoming a career coach and using all of that. What I have seen in all of these years of working with individuals, professionals, is, and I just want to share this little take here. There's a lot of different coaches, a lot of different change agents, a lot of different millions of people that help people. We all have our own way of looking at how do I intervene and help change someone's life. My way is this. I feel that I say this with every career coaching first session, I explain this. If you boil it down to the bare essence, when you are clear about who you are, what you have to offer, and what you want, and when you are confident enough to get it, it usually goes very well, life. It's when you're not clear about who you are, if you're valuable, what you have to offer, how you're special, and how you want to use yourself in service of the world. And when you're not confident to go out and speak up and rise up and stand up for yourself in every way you need to in the business world, then things are going to fall down. So I love to intervene there. I think when we can help you understand what you're amazing at and then leverage that, it goes fantastically, like miraculously. So what I look for on my radar is, where are you broken down? Where do you have I call them gaps, power gaps. And I've talked about this in previous podcasts. You can find a few, we'll link to them below. But if you can see where the energy and the confidence and the self-esteem and the sense of worthiness and value are sucked out of you, where you can sense like there's a little crack and all the confidence and energy and vitality and hopefulness gets drained right out, that's a gap. And that's what you want to close. Whoops, there's my cell phone. So I've identified 7. And I did this qualitatively. What I first do is look at all of the qualitative, anecdotal case study information I have from working with thousands of people. And I've identified 7 of those gaps. And I think maybe, what was it, a week ago, 2 weeks ago, launched a survey to quantitatively test these 7 gaps. And the survey responses so far are staggering, more than I ever expected. And I'll share that in a minute. But let me again tell you what these 7 gaps are. And to me, I put them in the order that I see them, the frequency that I see them, the commonness, the degree to which people share and have these power gaps. Number 1, I can't wait to tell you a little bit about with the survey sharing. Number 1, not recognizing your special talents, abilities, and accomplishments. This means you think you know what you're great at, but if I ask you, tell me what you're great at, you can't even say it. You don't have the words. You don't have the words. You don't have metrics to say, here's what I did. Here's what the outcomes were. Here's how I moved the needle. Here's how I contribute powerfully. Amazingly, I literally see that 98% of the people that work with me can't do this. But in the survey, it didn't rank the highest gap at all. So what I really believe is people don't know that they don't know this. They don't know that they're not good at this, because they're not. and I can tell by, if I connect with you on LinkedIn and I look at your LinkedIn profile, the vast majority of profiles are falling way short. They're not talking about you powerfully at all. So I really believe that is number one. No, gap number two, communicating from fear, not strength. That means you don't speak powerfully, you don't speak assertively, you don't speak confidently about you, about what you believe, about your ideas, about your projects, about your opinions. And this is particularly true of women. I think men are trained. We're all, we come out of the chute one way, but we're culturally and societally trained another way. And I think that for women, we are not, we are trained to be malleable, pleasing, accommodating, not assertive, not strong, because we get punished when we're, or penalized in the workplace when we're strong. And there's so much research about this. This isn't just me making it up. And I can share anything you want about research about that. And I've interviewed about 5 different people on my Forbes blog all about this. But gap number 3, reluctance to ask for what you deserve. This is a female issue, a female problem. Men, the one study I read years ago floored me, and I believe the data is still accurate. MBA students right out of their MBA program into the workforce, 57% of men negotiated their very first salary. 7% of women did. And it continues. So you can imagine how that contributes to the pay gap from the very first job on. Women don't know how to negotiate well for themselves generally. Power gap number 4, isolating from influential support. And I want you to know I had all of these gaps, all of them. So I lived and breathed them. But if you don't have a mentor, you don't have a sponsor, you don't have influential supporters, you don't have ambassadors who love you and who are speaking about you when you're not in the room, you're not making, I want to swear, you're not making stuff happen for yourself. You're not. You can't do this by yourself. You can't reach your most exciting visions when you don't have support. Number 5 is acquiescing instead of saying stop to behavior that has to change. When I'm in groups and I'm speaking to audiences, I ask people to raise their hand and say, how many of you have been in the room and witnessed a behavior in the workplace that made you terribly uncomfortable and you didn't know what to do, and you went home that night and said, what the heck do I do about it? And every person raised their hand. So it's a massive thing, particularly for women, I believe. Power, but men too are abused and mistreated. Don't get me wrong, I know that, and the data shows that. Power gap number 6, losing sight of your most thrilling dream. Ding, ding, ding. That's the one we're talking about today. And amazingly, well, I'll tell you the data on this fully in a second, but 24% of the people who've responded to my survey so far have this gap. 25%, basically a quarter of the population. And I think many more people have it. They're just not aware that they lost sight of their dream, but we are going to focus on that today. But I want to give you power gap number 7, allowing the past and past trauma to define and shape you today. So the staggering findings on this so far, and I want you to take my survey, please. We're linking to it below, is that I'm not joking. The numbers are there. 98% of those surveyed have at least one of these gaps. And 75% have 3 or more at the same time. I mean, that's basically almost everybody you know, everybody you speak with, everybody you work with. 98% have one of these gaps. And 24% have losing sight of your thrilling dreams. So I want to talk all about that. Now, what do I mean by this? Losing sight of your thrilling dream. I don't need these yet. I think that for many of us, and this is not true of everyone, some people who went to college had no dream, didn't want to study what their parents made them study. I hear that a lot. Imagine, I'm hearing from 50-year-olds who their whole career trajectory was blown because their parents made them study engineering and they wanted to study marketing or communications or philosophy or whatever. Not to blame the parents. They were doing the best they can, I guess. But you really should listen to your children when they say, I don't want this. I want to study something I want to be passionate about. But I think most of us have an idea of what we want to do and be as we're turning 18, 19, 20, 21. We have an inkling of an idea. It's not fully formed. We might have the idea of the essence of it. I want to be in the arts. I want to use my ability to sing. I'm a writer. I want to in some way use writing. And then there's the form of it. What does that job look like? I think that if everyone understood the difference between essence versus form, our whole world would change. Parents would stop forcing their kids into work that they don't want to do. And was I mentioning last week about some comments I saw about Mark Cuban said that really upset me. He basically said following your passion at work is the worst idea, and you're never going to, basically saying you're never going to get rich doing that. Follow instead, he says, the thing that you focus the most time on, the thing that you're good at. And I say bull crap. 100% no, because and not everybody's a billionaire like Mark Cuban, for goodness sake, but what I see is people become very good at skills they can't stand using. They pursue something that they think is going to make them money, and they wake up at 40 or 50 and say, I can't believe how much time I've wasted doing this work that I can't stand, that means nothing to me. I became an accountant to make money. I became a CFO to make money. It's usually money that steers us away from. So I don't agree with him at all. Now, I'm not a billionaire. So if you want to be a billionaire, follow Mark Cuban. But I help people, and I'm doing work that makes me feel proud to be alive and impactful and helping people. And it fits me. And that's what we want for you, that your work fits you. Well, so what I see is there are 4 top reasons that people bail on their thrilling dream. And some people bail right out of the gate, like I did. And you can read about that in my Forbes post, which I'm linking below. Right out of the gate, I bailed. Literally 3 weeks after starting to apply for a job at age 22. I bailed, and I bailed because good girl Kathy does the right thing, gets the first takes the first job she's hired for, first job offer she gets. She doesn't think about what she really wants. She doesn't think about what she really deserves. She doesn't think about her amazing talents that have already been formed that you could see. No, she takes the first job that's given to her that's really so not what she wanted. Me. Why am I talking about myself in third person? Me. I took a science marketing job when in fact I wanted to be a great fiction book editor. Well, from that first job, the trajectory went a way that I really didn't want it to go. But why did I stay? Because I was good at it. Because I'm good at marketing, because I'm good at copywriting, because I can look at a spectroscopy journal, a science journal, and I can understand the concepts enough to write great copy. That's a skill, but that's not what I wanted to do for a living. I didn't want to market people's programs. I didn't want to develop stupid programs that just take people's money and aren't really full of contributive value. Oh. So I have lost sight of my thrilling dream, and I lost sight till age 41, till I finally snapped and said, I don't care what happens. I don't care what I have to give up. I need to love what I'm doing, and I need to be proud of myself and use myself. And I got to find that thrilling dream again, but I had to rebuild it from scratch. But if this is you, if you've lost sight, you had something you thought you might be interested in years ago, even though it wasn't fully fleshed out. None of our ideas are fully actuated when we have them or fully manifested. That's the process of doing them. So a lot of people bail because they only have kind of some essence. I want to work in a music studio. I was a singer, as you know. Do I want to make my living singing? I tried that. No, I never tried making a living. I made money as a singer and did some high level things. Carnegie Hall, Liza Minnelli, backup singer with 50 other people in Sony recording studios. Exciting stuff. But I realized, no, I don't want to make a living at this. So to the heart of this podcast episode, what are the top 4 reasons people bail on their dreams? Number 1, you start early on striving so hard for success. And let's not kid ourselves. In our culture, success means one thing. To the cultural definition, it means making a lot of money. you are striving so hard for success that you keep pushing for that same thing for years until you wake up and feel it's too late to change. So I need to say a few things. It really irks me when people say, gosh, he's very successful, and they mean he's rich. That isn't necessarily success. We know that, don't you know? I do. A lot of rich people who are addicted to substances, who are miserable, who are depressed, who are suicidal, who aren't happy, who can't hold down a relationship. Money doesn't equal success. Money is awesome. I want a lot of money. You want a lot of money, but I want to earn money to do things that I care about, not simply so I can say I'm successful. I feel I am successful. I hope you feel you are. So the very first thing we have to look at is why do only millionaires, why are they called successful and the rest of us aren't? I mean, it's nuts. And if you're in the world of influential rich people, you will see that. Um, it's not success necessarily. So again, our society trains us. Now, there is this need, of course, to make consistent money, to pay your bills, to have the lifestyle you want, to live in the home you want. Of course, we want to do that. But do we want to do that at the expense of everything else? And a lot of this one gap ties into, have you ever spent time with people who are dying? They're not talking about how much money they made. If you read the 50, what is it? The 50 regrets of the dying, or the top 5 regrets of the dying. God, I read that and it went viral years ago. I'm forgetting who the author is. We'll post it down below. It's stunning. I mean, it's about what I wish I had done, what I wish I had said, the people I wish I had spent more time with, the people I wish I should makes me cry, the people I wish I'd showed more love to. That's what success is. I mean, at the end of your life, looking back, what do you want to say? What do you want to have said you've done and been and stood for? That's what I want you to answer here. Okay, so yes, money's important. Yes, if you're going to pursue your thrilling dream, it's not going to be thrilling if you're broke and can't pay your bills and can't feed your children or yourself. So that goes hand in hand, but don't give up your thrilling dream because you think there's just no way you can make the money you need to. Now, I really want you to know I'm not some Pollyanna. I grew up, you know, surrounded by a dad who worked for GE and was a scientist. I spent 20 years in corporate life. My ex-husband now, a very famous jazz percussionist. I see what the realities of a lot of different trajectories are. And certainly as a career coach, I see what thousands of trajectories will do. But no, there's no one financial definition of every job. So let's say you would love to help the disadvantaged. Okay, maybe you don't do your full-time work that way. Maybe you're a consultant. You use your digital marketing consultation skills to help an organization that helps the disadvantaged or the homeless. But your full-time work is over here. There are many, many ways to pursue your thrilling dream. Don't give up on it. Number 2, why people lose sight of their thrilling dream. You didn't identify what you really wanted to learn in college. Or you didn't honor what you did want to learn because your parents told you it was foolish, or your teacher or your guidance counselor. So right out of the gate, you're lost and you don't have a touchstone. So, I mean, of course, everything I write is often my life story as well. But I did study what I wanted. I studied English. I studied journalism. It's funny. I took one journalism class, and I went to Boston University, great school of public communications. I didn't like journalism, funny enough. And I was like, well, don't like it. The what, why, when, where, and how thing, how to write a headline. I was like, oh, I should have taken a few more classes. I would have been doing my Forbes blog better and earlier probably. But I studied English, and I had English lit. And then I went to London for a year and studied, British literature, Shakespeare. Oh my gosh. Dickens, the most amazing writers in the world. I loved it. And I really didn't understand that it's not just other people's ideas that I wanted to help birth, but it was my own. But I didn't believe in myself that way. What do I know? What could I possibly write? I'll be a good editor. So I bailed right in the beginning that maybe I have something to say. It took me till age 45 to trust that, to even remotely think of it. So what I want you to think about, and of course, every one of these podcasts, I'm giving you exercises to think about, I hope. What did you study in college if you went to college? What did your parents tell you about what you studied? Did you love it? Did you think that there was some kernel there of what you studied that you could make a living, and are you making a living doing that? Or did you bail on it? Or did you do the essence versus the form thing? There was an essence there, but meaning the energy, the excitement, the passion, but you took the wrong form of it, like I did. Okay, let me write marketing copy. Yeah, I'm good at it, but I would rather poke my eye out with a stick than write scientific publishing marketing copy. Oh gosh. All right. Number 3 is throughout your work trajectory, you received and internalized negative messages that you're not smart, capable, or valuable enough to pursue the thing that will thrill you. So many of my clients, and some of them are very high level, making a lot of money, up to $1 million, over $1 million, million in the bank. You wouldn't believe what their family members who, their parents who were broken themselves, some of them alcoholics, some of them just, not successful in any way and hurting. But they tell their kids, particularly the girls, oh, you're not smart enough to do that. I'm sorry, hon. One of my clients coming out in my book, she said she wanted to be a movie director, and I think both her parents said, "Oh, sorry, hon, you're not. Movie directors are smart. You're not smart enough." That makes me so enraged. How dare you? There was a neighbor I had once who told me, I'll never forget it. I just sat there gobsmacked. We were on the soccer field, and she said, our family isn't smart. And she has 3 kids. Our family isn't smart, so we have to excel in other ways. Your family isn't smart? I mean, all 5 of you? What are you talking about? I don't even know what to say. But if you tell your kids they're not smart, I guarantee you they will grow up not thinking that they're not smart, not capable. It's very sad. You never want to say that to anyone you love. And if you're saying it, it's probably because you have a problem with feeling you're not smart, because everyone's got every person on the planet has a brilliant talent, or many more than that they can leverage to be great in the world and valuable and useful. So I'd like you to think about, over the years, what are the messages you got about yourself? Are you not valuable? There's another one. Only special people have that kind of life. Oh, that's ridiculous. If you want an amazing life doing work that you love and making great money at it, why can't it be you? Why not? You just need the right kind of help and all the other gaps have to be closed. You have to know how to speak about yourself. You have to get influential support. You have to stop being mistreated and told that you're not smart or worthy enough. You've got to close all your power gaps. And, people who have amazing careers, who are making $1 million and loving their life, most of them that I've ever met, all of them that I've ever met, have done hard work to close their gaps. They didn't come out of the chute having all that. So in that way, they're special because they did the hard work to become special. So you have to do the work. That was number 3, right? Number 4, top reason why professionals bail on their most thrilling dreams. You've bought into the cultural myth that pursuing your passions will inevitably make you go broke or be a terrible mistake. I mean, that's Mark Cuban. I read his comments. Boy, that angers me. It's like, you're a billionaire. You're not a career coach. Don't give career coaching advice. So, yes, pursuing a passion can make you go broke if you do it in an unwise way, in a stupid way, in a not well transitioned way, in a not well thought out way, if you don't know how to fund it, if you just say build it and they will come. Yes, I've done all that. And, I when I became a therapist and left corporate life, I did that. I wanted so much to leave my corporate pain behind that I went and looked at the farthest thing I could get to that would be like running to the other side of the earth. And that wasn't conscious. That's just what I wanted in my heart. I don't want this toxicity from corporate America. I want to help people. And it was incredible, the learning and the training. The thing is, I hadn't closed the other power gaps. So as I launched a business as a therapist with some other people, some of the same challenges emerged as my corporate life. And I said to myself, how is this possible? How am I having the same toxic situations, the same inability to speak up for myself, the same inability to ask for the prices that I wanted, the fees that I wanted? How is this possible? It's possible because I didn't close the power gaps. So you might run away and say, okay, I'm done. I'm done with being a marketing director. I am going to run a small business a jewelry design business. If you haven't closed your power gaps, you're going to have the same problems. You're not going to make the right money. You're not going to fire the right people that need to be fired. You're not going to hire the right people you need to hire. You're going to get swept away by the entrepreneurial gurus who say you've got to do these 20 things and pay me $20,000 a month to do them. You got to be powerful. You got to be confident. You got to be strong. You have to pivot. You have to say, okay, I started out, I'm a therapist, but I'm not enjoying this. And this is not my life's work yet. You got to be strong enough to keep going, keep looking. What can I do to parlay everything I've learned from my past 40 years into work that is going to feel like finally I'm doing the work and having the creativity and the flexibility and the control and the influence that I want and making great money doing it. So I want you to know it's possible. Now, it's not always possible in this moment. Like I always say, and maybe this sounds sexist, I hope not. I am a true feminist at heart. But if sometimes I'm working with a woman who's pregnant, she's about to give birth in 3 months, and she's like, I want to start my business in 4 months. I don't advise that. You're already birthing an entrepreneurial project. You're birthing your child. And so many first-time moms and dads don't know what they're in for. So I always say, okay, that timing, I'm going to be a consultant here. That's probably too much. I would birth your child first and set the stage. So I always say, always plan. No. Do what you must to stay afloat financially, emotionally, spiritually, behaviorally, but always, always plant the seeds for your future self right now, today. The second thing I always say is, okay, you want to chuck your whole corporate career. You want to chuck your job. What I'm going to ask you to do is stay for 6 months more and fix the problems you have right now. Go talk to your boss. Go ask for a better job. Go or a plum assignment. Say you want to spearhead that cause. Start closing these power gaps now, now, now. And I promise you, when you've done that for 6 months or a year, you are going to be energetically at a much higher level so that you will be able to create what you really want and not be all power gapped and broken down and crushed and demoralized. And you won't have the toxic people in your life, and you will know how to manage your money, and you will know how to speak up to people, vendors, suppliers, contractors who are taking advantage. You got to do the work to have the thrilling dream happen. What comes to mind when I say that, there's an amazing book, The Energy of Money, Maria Nemeth. I mention it a lot. It was a life changer for me. But she talks about metaphysicing, that having a brainstorm of an idea, I want to leave my corporate life and have my own business. It feels so light and airy when we're thinking about it. But as we have to push it into physical reality, it's dense energy. It's hard. And that's where a lot of people bail, like me. I wish someone had said, why are you taking that very first job and you don't want it? And I think I mentioned, the story that literally 2 weeks after I took that job, 2 to 3 weeks later, I got a letter that from Bantam Books, really top publisher at the time. And I had applied for an administrative assistant position. Want to come in for an interview. Why didn't I go in? But I said to myself, good girl, Kathy, can't possibly go in. I took this job. I pissed the first employer off. Oh man, really? Yeah, they wouldn't love it. But what is the price of having your thrilling dream? It might be to upset somebody. What is the price? So what I want to leave you with is take my survey below, the power gap survey. Look at the one gap that is the most resonant, the most powerful, the one that hits you in the gut, and take some action around that gap. If it is this one, I've lost sight of my thrilling dream. I want you to first of all, read my book next year. But there's some exercises. Number one, what was the thrilling dream? And even if it's only the essence of it that you have, I don't know. I like when I'm sitting in my therapist's office after being brutally laid off in a way that just devastated me, and I'm crying. And he said, I know from where you sit, this is the worst crisis you've faced, but from where I sit, it's the first moment you can choose who you want to be. Now, who do you want to be? All I could say was, I don't know. I want to be you. That's all I could say. But he, a great advisor, therapist, coach, he wasn't even a coach back then. I mean, he's not a coach. Dr. Henry Grayson, he's a fantastic spiritual psychotherapist. But he said, what does that mean to you? You want to be me? And I said, I want to help people, not hurt people and be hurt. And that thing that came out of my life in October, right after 9/11, was the thing that changed my life, because he asked me that question. So be your own coach, be your own spiritual psychotherapist. Who do you want to be in the world? And what one small step, I'm not asking you to chuck your career. I'm not asking you to go broke. Money's a beautiful thing when you have the right energy for it, with it, when you have the right relationship with it. When you are a slave to it, it's your demonizer. Is that a word? It's a demon because you are a slave. You're selling your soul for it. And I've done that too. What's one step you can take to remember the essence of that dream? Go back to when you were 18 or 16 or 22, or what's the essence of it? Don't try to come up with the form yet, because you're going to blow it. You're going to say, well, see, I was fascinated about all different kinds of alcohol. What am I going to do? Start a distillery? No, don't go to that place. Just think about the essence of it and then start exploring. Do some passive research online. Start talking to people. What could I do exploring different alcohols, different wines, different distilleries, different vineyards? I mean, and then you're going to go through a process. And there are 5 steps to changing your career to something you love. Step back for an empowered perspective of who you are, what you've done, what you want, what you're capable of. Number 2 is let go of the thinking patterns and behaviors that keep you stuck, because there are some. If you're stuck, there are repeating patterns that are not random. And they're about you, and they're about what you learned and what you were trained to be that's holding you back. Number 3, say yes to your most compelling visions. I don't mean you're going to chuck your $200,000 job and become a singer in the band. I don't mean that. I mean, you're going to say yes to the vision, and then you're going to do the next step. Explore and try it on. Could take years, could take 2 weeks. Can't tell you how many people say they want to start a bed and breakfast. So the people who are most times when I say, okay, tell me why that is, they realize, no, I don't. What am I talking about? But 2% say, I love creating event spaces. I love cooking. I love socializing. I love creating space that is beautiful for people. So I said, okay, in the next 2 months, I want you to, or 1 month, visit 3 bed and breakfasts and interview the owners. And I can tell you, in 13 years, not one person has come back and said, I really want to start a bed and breakfast. They all went, what was I thinking? But I learned that I want to do this, or I want to work more in event planning or designing spaces or whatever it is. Not one person came back and said, I want to run a bed and breakfast. So you have to try it on. A lot of people tell me who aren't singers, I would kill to sing in a band. Well, I've sung in bands, I've sung on stage. Do you really know what's involved in that, or does it just look glamorous from the outside? You got to try it on every possible way you can. And the final step is you've got to create it smart. Specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and timely goals. And you need an accountability structure, and you need somebody in your corner who's going to advise and mentor. You cannot do this stuff on your own. So I hope, what is your thrilling dream? I hope this spurs some ideas. What is it? And if you only have the essence, the core, the kernel of it, what is that? Share wherever I'm posting this that you see it, on LinkedIn, on Facebook, on my Elia Communications page, and my Finding Brave page on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram. Share with me whatever you got in terms of, I think I had a thrilling dream and I've let it go. And I promise you, there are ways to move forward to it. In fact, it just spurred my mind. Let me know what you think of this. I want to start a series that I'm going to put on YouTube where I'm going to do live coaching with one person a month. So they apply, and we'll create an application process, and one person a month gets a 1 hour or 45-minute free coaching session around I lost my thrilling dream. And we do it live on Zoom, just like how you're seeing me, and then we'll upload it to YouTube. And, that's a $750 value because that's my rate now. I don't really talk hourly. Usually there's packages that people buy, but that's a $750 value if you look at it that way. So what do you think? Would you want to come on here with me, and we just privately would have a Zoom call? And the whole thing is, I've lost sight of my thrilling dream. Help me. Oh my gosh, I'd love it. And we do it live, and then you'd give me permission to put it on YouTube so that people can learn from other people, because really one person's story is hundreds of thousands of people's story. And your story is probably my story in some way, that we've lost sight of who we are and what we're doing here and why we're here, which is to be of service in a way that brings you joy and compensates you beautifully and makes you feel very alive. I hope this is helpful. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you would be interested in this idea of me coaching you live and then me sharing it with the world on my YouTube channel. Write me, whatever. You know how to find me. LinkedIn's my favorite place. Connect with me there. Say you listen to this and you would be interested in, and we're going to move forward and create an application process. I would love to help you reclaim, or for many people for the first time ever, claim power and impact and reward and joy and happiness. And it's your time now to do that. It's your Finding Brave time. Thanks, everybody, for listening. Happy 4th of July. Have an amazing weekend. I hope you relish it. I hope you have just the time of your life with people that you love. And I will see you next time. Thanks so much. Bye now.